What's up, guys? So the Model 3 marked the beginning of a major revolution in the automotive space, not just for electric cars, but for the industry as a whole. Tesla's focus on ultra-minimalist design has been a lesson for many major automotive manufacturers to take on board, with some of their latest concepts clearly echoing Tesla's philosophy. But what exactly was it about Model 3's design that inspired this revolution? Well, that's what we're going to explore in today's video. Let's get started. First on the list are the door handles. Tesla first made the idea of self-presenting door handles mainstream back with the release of the Model S in 2012. With the Model 3, however, Tesla updated the design to reduce cost and complexity while maintaining the same basic functionality. Instead of an electrically actuated system, to open the doors, you now had to push in at the back to reveal the handle and pull the door open. While cost-effective from an engineering perspective, the design does cause some problems for new owners, which suggests that the automated system design may have been a more intuitive approach for the average person. Next up are the climate controls. Unlike almost every other car on the market, the Model 3 has done away with all traditional air vents in the dashboard. Instead, everything is controlled through this single large vent that extends across the entire width of the dash. With this approach, Tesla eliminated the need for the usual knobs, switches and buttons that you'd usually find on a car, again reducing the cost and complexity of components. However, it does result in that bit more of a learning curve for new buyers who will have to get used to controlling everything through the center touchscreen. This all-or-nothing approach is perhaps best exemplified by our next item on the list, which is the glovebox. To the untrained eye, you'd actually be hard-pressed to even realise there's a glove box hidden on the passenger side, especially since there's not even a handle or button to press to open it. Instead, you have to once again turn to the touchscreen for help by navigating to the settings menu and tapping the icon to open the glove box. From my perspective, this may be a case where design simplicity was taken a little too far, considering the use of a simple button or even the ability to press the outside of the glove box door to open it would have been a much easier and more intuitive approach for most people, rather than to rely entirely on the software system. The fourth item on the list is the instrument cluster, or rather the lack of one. In this regard, the Model 3 is truly unique in having no instrument panel behind the steering wheel. For anyone driving the Model 3 for the first time, this means that you'll have no speed, indicator status, headlight information, or even traditional warning lights found anywhere behind the dashboard. In my case, this had a particular effect on me while driving at night time, as every now and then I'd glance down expecting to see a glowing speedometer and status lights, only to be met with pure darkness. Getting all of this data from the center touchscreen certainly takes a bit of getting used to, but once you do, it becomes as natural as ever, with the added benefit of a nice, unobstructed view of the road ahead with no dials to get in the way. Number 5 on the list, and this is an interesting one in terms of safety, are the grab handles. In every other car I've been in until now, there have been grab handles along the top trim for passengers to hold onto for stability and comfort. In the Model 3, however, there are none to be found anywhere in the cabin. This is something a lot of my passengers are very quick to notice, since any time I decided to do an unannounced acceleration test, there is nothing for them to hold onto. While from a design perspective it does make for a more seamless overhead interior space, it does mean that passengers have to grab onto the seats for stability, which doesn't bode very well for comfort. Number 6 is the steering wheel. Nowadays, people are so used to seeing steering wheels with as many buttons as a laptop that when they see the Model 3 steering wheel, they're left a little confused. Instead of a bunch of icon-labelled buttons, the Model 3 just has 2 nondescript scroll wheels, and that's it. For anyone coming from a history of luxury-branded vehicles, moving to a steering wheel which has no dedicated buttons to switch on the cruise control, adjust your speed, skip through songs, or change the volume will certainly come as quite a shock. However, once you get past your initial reservations, you'll quickly realise that Tesla's integration of hardware and software suddenly shows how a design minimalist approach like this can make a lot more sense. Number 7 is the drive controls. Unlike almost every other car on the market today, the Model 3 has absolutely no driver controls in the center console. This means no gear selector, no handbrake, no energy-saving drive mode selectors, traction control buttons, or anything. All you'll find is empty storage space. Instead, basic functions like gear selection are handled by the right side stalk behind the steering wheel, while more advanced settings are handled via the touchscreen. And as for the parking brake, while there is a button for that on the gear selector stalk, in most cases you'll never need to use it. With the built-in auto hold function, the car will automatically apply the brakes anytime it comes to a standstill. While if the driver door is opened or if the driver's safety belt is removed, once the car is travelling less than 2 km per hour, the parking brake will automatically be applied. All of this means that in reality you'll never really need to apply the parking brake manually yourself. Number 8 is starting the car. While most new mid-range and luxury vehicle cars come with keyless entry as standard, the Model 3 takes this a step further by removing the key entirely. When you buy the car, the only key you're given is a credit card-like device, which you need to place on the B-pillar to lock and unlock the car, and on the centre console when you want to enable the car to drive. While this approach in itself is different, it becomes even more so once you start using your smartphone as the primary key for the car. With your smartphone, you can simply walk up to the car and the doors will automatically unlock for you. But the real difference starts once you sit into the car and want to drive away. Unlike almost every other car on the market, the Model 3 doesn't have a dedicated start-stop or on-off button to switch it on. Instead, as soon as you sit into the car, it's already on and waiting to go. All you need to do is press the brake, shift into drive, and away you go. For anyone coming from a normal car, this certainly presents a much more streamlined and seamless process once you get used to it, but on first try you might find yourself wondering how to even start the car to drive it out of the dealership. Number 9 is the interior camera. This is a major point of contention for many people who sit into the Model 3, especially now since data privacy is such a major issue for most people. The unique thing about the Model 3's interior camera is that although Tesla added it to the car from first production, in the nearly 3 years since, the camera itself has never actually been enabled or used for anything. Another interesting aspect of the interior camera is that, unlike other automotive manufacturers, Tesla have said that their interior camera won't be used to monitor drivers once their driver assistance system is engaged. Instead, Tesla have suggested that their interior camera will be used to monitor people using your vehicle as part of the Tesla Network ride-sharing service. More recently, Tesla have also said that they intend to enable the interior camera to work with the internal hands-free microphones so you can conduct video conferencing sessions via the touchscreen. Finally, we've reached number 10 and what, in my experience, has been the most unique and controversial aspect of the Model 3's design, and that is this little button right here, the door opening button. Similar to the exterior design, Tesla opted to remove traditional handles from the inside of the door panel and instead replace them with the simple, nondescript button you see here. However, for many people using the vehicle for the first time, there's a lot of confusion around how this button actually works. Since the button to open the door looks quite similar to those that open the windows, and since when you press the door open button, the windows do actually move down about an inch to clear the chrome trim surrounding the doors, lots of people naturally conflate the behaviour of the two buttons. Added to this is that on the front doors, there is actually a more traditional latch to open the door just beneath the door open button. But as it turns out, this is an emergency release latch which can actually damage the chrome trim on the door surround if used too frequently. So as we sum up this video, it's clear that while the Model 3 is a frontrunner in terms of design innovation, it's not without its quirks. As a negative, in their quest for a design that embodies aesthetic minimalism, it's clear that certain aspects of usability may have been compromised, with the glovebox, grab handles, and door open buttons being clear examples. But as a positive, while the learning curve for many of the car's features is certainly a little steeper than its competitors, once you get to grips with the technology, it quickly becomes hard to imagine what life is like without it. So that's it for today's video. I hope you found it interesting and informative, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more Tesla videos like this one. As always, if you have any questions or suggestions, do let me know in the comments, and until then, I'll see you in the next one.